Hello, I hope you're well. I haven't been on recording because it was holidays and other things happening, and I never have a script, so I always just say whatever comes. It's almost like I am downloading all my thoughts and experiences and things that happened, and because I'm always pondering and thinking about things, and I also think about what to say to you on this podcast and how to explain it in the way that someone can learn on my experiences. It's not that I'm not prepared for this, it's just I don't have a script. So sometimes when I record things, I see what is going to come out, and then I title this, because if there is a certain subject or certain area of life that I just talked about and that just came to me, that's how I title my podcast or episode. And in this one, I was thinking to say, first of all, things that been triggering me. There has been a really, really big full moon. It was a super full moon in Aquarius. And I was not prepared for this. It just hit me like a brick. I couldn't sleep for at least 3 nights. One night was really difficult, and I wasn't sure what was happening. I was on holidays, or I was away from UK, and I thought maybe it's a new bed, or I had just things going on in my head about some circumstances that I wasn't sure how to fix. So I was thinking maybe this was keeping me up, but this was the full moon, and I am, to be honest, I'm still digesting this. I'm still not over this. I'm still in a little bit of a slumber of I just came back, and I feel like I don't really want to leave the house. I want to just be in. I don't have energy to walk, even though I know it's really good for me, and I really, really appreciate that. And it's like a little bit like a vicious cycle. I don't know if you recognize this in your life. You know something is really good for you, and you know that if you don't do it, you don't feel as that well, but in the same time you so don't have energy for doing this that you end up not doing this, and then you end up not feeling that great. I think there's just two opposite things that are happening, and one thing is I don't feel like going out, and I know that it would be good for me to go out, so I'm definitely going to go out today. It's maybe because I haven't been out I have been away from my home for some time, and that's why I feel like maybe staying in. But I'm just really curious how this full moon, and if you were not aware, and today is the 24th of August 2024, if you are if your 2 last weeks are especially last week was difficult, and if you were not aware of why the sleep difficulties and just a little bit of heaviness or a lot of heaviness, and just everything almost being a little bit darker than usual, and maybe challenges and issues showing as bigger as they really are. And for me it was in a lot of areas. So in area to do with myself, how I look at myself, how I see myself, things about how I look. So I look in the mirror, and I don't really like how I look, and it's really sad, and especially to do with my last episode before that, of being kind to yourself. So I really have to exercise that. And I also recognize, and I don't know if you have something like this, that there are times that you look in the mirror and you are like, yeah, I really like what I see, and I really like myself. I really like a vision of me, right? The body. And then there are some times that you're just like, no, everything is is whatever, is not how it's supposed to look. I don't know how it is for men. It might be different for men, and I also don't know how many men would listen to that. I would have to speak to a man and kind of get their perspective. I think men is definitely more about action. I just watched this amazing reel of, I think, 3 men just traveling and cycling through Italy and Italian mountains, and the sheer energy and the sheer happiness of those 3 men cycling. They didn't care how they looked like, you know, if one had a little belly or whatever. And it's me, my inner critic is talking now about the belly, because that's sometimes how I see people, and I saw this belly. I am not proud of it. I am really trying not to concentrate or focus on things like this, but in the same time I am accepting this, and I am being kind to myself and saying, you know, that's fine, you've observed it, you gave it a point, you gave it a thought, and now move on. And focus on other things. So anyway, those 3 men traveling, sheer happiness, you know, and then just focus on the movement and passing terrain. It was beautiful, and I'm sure obviously women I like this as well. So anyway, with me, what's been happening, and I think that definitely very influenced by the moon. Not that it's not happening outside of the moons. I have those phases when I really feel beautiful, and then some phases when I really don't feel beautiful. And also with passing time, I don't really remember how it was beforehand, but now with passing time, I just feel older, and I see changes in my face. And sometimes it's really difficult to get and accept those changes. So this was one of the things that was happening to me. And my relationships, so outside my relationships with people close to me, I got really irritated by, excuse me, I got really irritated by some of them. So some of the traits in our relationships, some of the aspects get really highlighted, and it's actually interesting how I just had to kind of cough, and how my voice reacts to what I am saying, because definitely your body and what you are saying reacts to things. So yes, when I was talking about the relationships, that's when it came into a little bit of a blockage in my throat. So a lot of things to go through, and it's definitely not the end of that. I definitely see the evolvement of the relationships in my life. And no, it does not mean that it has to necessarily be endings or not, although I am contemplating to kind of ease up on some relationships, and maybe start something new, some new experiences. One of the experiences that came to me, it was recommended by someone, was that there's this app. So I don't know if you know, and I can tag the app in the description. So there is the app that you just put your details, and it allows you, or it invites you to dinner with 4 different strangers. So you put your interests, kind of maybe your age group, and your I think occupation, but nothing is like you have to put it. And then things that you like to talk about, and things that you'd rather not talk about. So like, you like to talk about politics and religion, and it puts you with this group of people. And I'm really thinking about doing this. I think it's a great experience of meeting people and just talking about things you like to talk. sometimes in my closest circle, I really miss talking about these spiritual things, and that's why one of the things for me to express is on here. I do listen to a lot of spiritual teacher, you can call them. You'd probably heard me talking about Aaron Doughty, another Amanda Ellis, and Laurie Ladd. I was just listening this morning to this astrologer. So he is not a spiritual teacher per se, because he's not talking about meditation and things, but definitely astrology, the way he presents it, has a lot to do with spirituality and how we move about the world and how world evolves, because there's ultimately is an energy that the planets have on us, and it's been proved that this energy is really, really strong, and it's proved by the moon every day, by tides, the moon cycles, and what I was just talking about, full moon. Yes, if you haven't noticed this, if you don't follow things like this, please remember how you felt a couple of nights ago. I think it was, I know it was on the 19th of August. I mean, depending on when you are on Earth. But this was a very strong, influential time, a very energetically charged. So if this is just one of the planets, and then obviously the other planets, they are moving. I will tag him as well, because it's a really interesting YouTube video, 15 minutes, about big changes that are coming on the horizon, on the sky, with the planet changing sign. Is really, really interesting, and it has got to do with the changes and transformations that Earth is coming through, and those changes, obviously, we as humans think that we are so, and sometimes we are so self-centered, but that we think everything comes from us, which in a way is true, because we can take either way, this or that. But in the same time, we are being energetically influenced by the planet. So this is a big unity, and I don't think, or we cannot get out of that. And many times we think it's us, but it's also subconsciously things that influence us, and that's just how it is. So it's really, really interesting, and obviously it's never one way. So he was talking about one of the planets going into Aquarius. Aquarius is a planet of Aquarius is a sign of community and of people, and he said that this planet going into Aquarius from Capricorn, and Capricorn is a planet of governance and order. So movement from this ordered government to community might affect in communities coming together in the whole world and kind of opening up and moving away from structured governments. But it also may mean how he put it very nicely and eloquently, that it may mean that there's only going to be one community that will take over all the other communities and all the other parts, and everyone would work for just this one community. So I think just being aware of things like that, and sometimes it's about making maybe small choices, and recognizing things. So I think it's good to know, and I think listening about these sort of things, for me, it just makes me feel more powerful than, for example, listening to the news. I was listening to the news, I had to, because I was at my parents' home, and obviously my parents, older generation, and I think that's one of the changes, because I was looking at some statistics of how many people nowadays listens to the radio, to the news, and it's going dramatically down. Millennials and everyone who came after, they are turning to social media, and at the moment, although social media are also obviously governed and not doesn't mean that all social media are free, and talking about freedom and social media is just another discussion that is very interesting but also very deep, but in media in the country that I was in, that my parents live, they are very much focused on politics, on government, to the point of this politician did this and this politician has taken this much money, and this is one thing. And then the other thing that is really highly recognizable is how many accidents there were, who has drawn, who was I don't know, other ways of passing away. So it's very concentrated on these bad news, and this is emotional manipulation. This is because we know that in the world, if you look at the world, there is not the balance between light and dark, the balance between death and life is the same. Or in your life, even if the darkness is sometimes bigger, the more you concentrate on darkness, the more it grows. So by listening to this, it does not give you any it does not give you the balance, it does not give you the will. I was listening to one other lady who was asked this question, if she was listening, very clever, wise, older woman, I think she was in her 80s. And she was saying that she doesn't take it personally. She doesn't put herself there. That's really, really good for someone who is maybe not so highly empathetic and so highly emotional. I am. And as much as I try to not take it personally, as much as I try to not put an importance on that, or not kind of go into that, it's difficult. And I know I have to limit for myself, I have to limit listening to bad news, news about governments and who has stolen. And this is for me one of the things, because I am never bored. I'm never bored. I always find something to do, and I think that life is interesting, and I find joy in small things, and mindfulness helps me do that. And I was really reflecting about wasting your time and how we live in the world of if I don't do something, if I am not productive, I waste my time. If I am not moving, meeting, consuming, I waste my time, because this is not living. So mindfulness and being in the moment helps you not feel this way, helps you not feel that if you're not moving, you're wasting your time. And I forgot what I was talking about, but yes, the watching of this news of politicians and paying attention to that, this is, I think, one of the few things that I think is waste of time. I am so not interested about what politician did what. I am so not interested about the ins and outs of of the little part in my country of the politician movements, and some people are so invested in that, and I find it really fascinating. But I guess it's just about who finds what things interesting in life, really. So again, if someone does then and is invested in that and can evolve and develop through that, then that's fine. I just would like to see how. I guess the conversations I had about it, I think the first, I believe one thing that people said then was that I am informed. So they like to be informed, and then I couldn't really go any further because it's maybe I don't have that many people in my life who would be able to explain to me what do they gain from watching this sort of political shenanigans. I don't know how else to call it, political downpour. So this was one way, and this was something that really triggered me. When I had a quick thought about what I was going to talk about today, I also thought that I don't want to be negative. I don't want to talk about that much about things that trigger me, because and I don't want to downplay myself. I sometimes tend to do it. I sometimes tend to not talk about myself as in a positive light, and that's, if you recognize that in yourself, I guess is very common in certain people who are brought up in a certain way, and it's okay. It's fine. I think the first main point is recognizing this in yourself, that you tend to do it, and then again just moving on from this, and then accepting this part. Every time this happens, just accepting this and moving on. I really love, and there is so many people talking about how they came from being with different addictions, or just wasting their time on wasting their money, of really not believing in themselves, to sort of thriving. I mean, as much as you can see on social media that they are thriving, they are really good physical condition, and to be honest, I guess it's really important to me. And if I had to unpack it, and I don't know if I should, but I just do really quickly. We do pay attention about people looks, and we do trust someone who looks healthy, who looks, good. We trust this person more than we would if we are looking at the person who doesn't look so good, doesn't look healthy. There are different attributes. I'm not even going to mention that. I think I am still in the phase of critically looking at myself, so I don't want to kind of dwell on that. But yes, we do tend to maybe look at the people who look more healthy, and that's why we trust them more, and that's why the whole social media and Instagram is sort of built on that. But we are naturally drawn to beauty, and beauty in different forms, and beauty is different to all of us. And the reason is that beauty is life, is a representation of life in any forms, and obviously not excluding dark items that some of us may find not as appealing, maybe. What I mean is that this is a creation, and even in something that sometimes doesn't look as appealing, the creation is there. And I think that's what people love to look at, the creation and the movement, and then the thought behind it. And this is what brings life. So we are really drawn to life in these beautiful objects. And maybe that's why when something is not when something is not as appealing, we don't have these positive feelings about this. As you can see, I am not being very structured here. I do still blame the full moon, but it's really nice to be back and to talk to you. And I hope that any insecurities you're having, you recognize at the moment, you recognize the same as me, that this is just like a wave. It comes and goes, and it's not gonna stay with you for a long time. So sometimes it's just the weight, and what helps me is being at the moment, being in the moment, and being mindful of everything you do, and trying to really pay attention to the little moments that you do. I was reading this book, I just have it next to me. It's called The Insight Meditation, The Practice of Freedom, and it's by Joseph Goldstein. And yes, it talks about a different perspective of meditation, and one of them is when you wash dishes, and I was really practicing this. It's really refreshing, and it kind of is like a little meditation when you wash the dishes and you concentrate on every movement, and you really feel your hands gliding on the surface of the plates, or feeling the texture of the sponge, and smelling the smells of the washing up liquid, and feeling the warmth of the water. All of this, there's so many of these emotions and feelings when you do that, and every little thing that you do have this plethora of its own expressions. I am looking at the yellow roses that are just in front of me, and you can just contemplate forever the beauty, the richness of the color. If you can smell it as well, the smell. Aaron Doughty was talking about the meditation on the candle, so feeling I believe the separation from the candle, that you are separate. So there are many different things that you can train it on, and it's useful to the part of, if you are feeling that you're wasting your time, or if you are feeling that there's nothing more going on, or if you are feeling that something that you are listening to, or wherever you are, it doesn't make you feel better. These are the little things, are like escapism also, almost, but in a positive way, not escapism as an addiction or something like that. And the last thing I want to talk about, and it's to do with how you feel about yourself, and how I am feeling about myself at the moment, is that there is this app that's called Insight Timer, and you can listen to meditations on there. There's millions of things. Obviously, this is not sponsored or anything. This is just something that actually my workplace offer, but you can also get 7 days free trial. So if you want to try this, it's got millions of meditations, guided meditation, and things for sleep, and so on and so forth. But there's this one that a friend of mine sent me as a recommendation, and he funnily enough, he said, I know you're meditating, and I know you're manifesting. And from this friend, I would never ever expect that he says something like this. So I do recognize that I have really small impact on people around me, which is actually really nice to see. Positive impact, obviously. And he sent this to me, and this is a manifestation of abundance. And I was listening to this, and I think it's maybe second or third day when I was listening to this. You're supposed to listen to this for 40 days and then see the changes of things and abundance manifesting. I won't go that much into that in this episode, but what I wanted to say is this: a lot of blockages and resentment also, and almost like down putting and belittling this when I was listening to this, and I was thinking, which part of me is not agreeing with that, which part of me doesn't want the abundance to come. And I definitely feel that I am feeling at the moment that I'm not worthy the abundance, the good manifestation, that is just almost like when I was listening to this meditation, thought about this is a joke, it's not gonna happen, things like this came in. And as this podcast is almost like my diary, I'm definitely now feeling that I need to write about this. And again, it's about you. So what are you telling yourself, but deep down, without being kind of like dismissive these other voices? What is the main voice telling you? What is the inside telling you? Or one of the main voices, because there could be two, and they could also be arguing inside you. And these are all your parts inside you, your child part, your teenage part, whatever hurt part you have that tells you this is not gonna happen, I'm really not worthy of this, things like this, they don't ever happen, this is just a joke. Whatever this is telling you, it's really interesting to listen to this voice. I will try and go a little bit deeper into that, because yes, listening to this at the moment brings a big resentment. It could be two things. It could be that at the moment I can just kind of pass on it and wait for a better moment, as of the energy of this full moon easing up a little bit, or when I am a little bit more rested. And just it could be just a couple of days, and maybe the taking of a really long walk helps me as well. As you know, I love my long walks, and I recommend it a lot. Doesn't have to be as long as I sometimes do, but a walk is really amazing. So maybe it's about taking it and putting it away, or maybe it's about listening to it and going through the resentment. And I think journaling as well. So journal through that, put this all out, this voice, just put it all out on the page, and then going through this acceptance and and then forgetting about this, but giving it a little bit of a voice, and a little bit what I like to do, just kind of unguided writing. So sometimes you just write and you don't think about that much what you're writing, and things come out that you wouldn't maybe consciously think about. That's really interesting. I now forget how it's called, but it's basically like writing without stopping, and kind of seeing what comes out by itself, almost giving voice to the other parts of you that may be squished there somewhere, and just giving them the voice without giving them that much power over you, and this way releasing this and kind of digesting this. So this definitely would help. I think that's enough of my rambling today. Thank you very much for listening, and I speak to you soon. Bye.